Matthew, you're an attorney. We claim to be a democratic organization, but is there a balance of power between the three branches in our tribal government?
I don't think there is. I think there's too many elected officials that are influenced. Even it may be unintentional. It may be intentional. I'm not going to go there to say it's intentional, but I definitely think they're influenced by the other branches of government. I don't think there's a clear, definitive line between our branches of government that, as legislators, that legislators should push for policies to enforce that.
But the minority voice in the legislative branch has no power.
That's exactly right, and that's one of the hard things that I would have to overcome as a legislator. The way to do that is to not be scared of opposition, receiving pressure from other branches or other legislators, and bring it to the people, and to actively bring it to the people, to where the people who don't necessarily know how to research it, find it online, I take it to them and make it known, and it puts pressure on the other legislators, because eventually they're going to have to be re-elected.
Keith?
I'm trying to keep time here, so I may have missed something, and this may be redundant. But is this, what you're talking about here, you said equality versus disparity was your biggest concern. Mm-hmm. Is that what you're speaking to right now, or is that something different?
No, it's in part, that is what I'm speaking to, because, in equity, to be equal to the people, why should our elected officials get a piece of the pie, and then, in my opinion, our seniors not receive that piece of the pie, who are more deserving of it than our elected officials?
What can be done to increase the transparency in our government? In other words, to make it easier for a citizen to determine what salaries are or what's being spent in a particular area of the governmental operation.
I think we try to base our government on the federal government. I don't necessarily agree with step for step. We're not the federal government, we're a tribe. But even the federal government has the Federal Tort Claims Act that gives us as Americans a right to file certain claims against the federal government to protect us. Well, I don't see anything wrong with the Tribal Tort Claims Act that would give us as citizens certain rights to file claims against the tribe. We could do a limited waiver of sovereign immunity for citizens to exercise their rights.
I'm talking about actually being able to figure out, what governmental officials are earning what amount of money. What governmental agency within the tribe is spending how many dollars on real property or other kinds of improvements. It's very difficult to determine. You can't figure it out by reading just the resolutions in the Chickasaw Times.
And here again, eventually you have to get back to some kind of Tort Claims Act or some way to exercise and enforce your right as a citizen. But to start with, the legislators have to put something in place. A perfect example would be a Freedom of Information Act, a tribal Freedom of Information Act. But the problem with our system right now, we got a lot of good policies, but they're not being enforced. And people are being turned away. If you try to file any kind of a suit to get things, the tribe is just claim sovereign immunity, and it will be dismissed for lack of subject matter jurisdiction. I think that's a denial of the Chickasaw citizens' rights. Why do we have a Constitution and a Chickasaw Code if it's not going to apply and we can't exercise our rights?
Matthew, with what you're saying there, are we bordering on a dictatorial type government simply because we are doing things that is akin to a state government? For example, communications is important to people, and that's a way of controlling things. But again, the Chickasaw Times is controlled by tribal government. Would you agree with that?
Well, I can't speak on what control the tribe has over the paper. I'm just not familiar with those facts, so I'm not even going to speculate on that. But as far as being close to a dictatorship, in certain ways, I think we're leaning that way. And again, I'm not saying it's intentional or unintentional, but the way the system is developing, there's too many Chickasaw citizens who are being turned away trying to exercise their rights. And after a certain amount of time, they lose hope, and they can be treated anyway, and they just leave. They don't try to exercise their rights anymore.
So don't we need tribal reform?
Oh, definitely. I agree with that statement 100%. And to get reform, we need people in the legislative branch that will fight and not be scared to oppose the system the way that it is right now. We have excellent programs, and it's easy to support those excellent programs, because if I support the building of a new senior citizen site, then I'm going to run out and yell, "Hey, I supported this." But if I don't support an increase for the seniors' energy assistance, let's keep that off the table. Let's keep that in the conference room to where nobody hears about that. So, and that's what we need to. That's the type of information to get to the people, to get them involved. And then that will put pressure on our elected officials to make some change.
Another quick question. I believe in this country we're headed toward some kind of federal insurance program, health insurance. Do you think the tribe already has one, and we should be refining that because we're headed towards something in this country where it's going to happen no matter what? But the tribes are ahead. They should be ahead of the game in terms of health care.
We have good. We have access to medical care. The quality of it, I think, could be improved. I think that's questionable. I think that we should pursue some way, and I haven't did any research, I don't know if anyone has, but I think we should pursue some way to insure all of our citizens to where they have an option whether to go to the Indian hospital or go to some doctor that they may have been treating them all their life. And again, that's you'd have to deal with the money and make sure that we could do that without damaging the policy or the program we have in place right now. But I definitely think of that.
Thank you.
Thank you.